Don't down that movie. I like that movie.
That's what I mean. He forgot the lemon wedge, dude, to wake himself up. Poor guy. You know what I mean? Yo, Nick was the first one to say fuck. I'm just going to call that out real quick.
After he's done his business, he still watches the rest to find out the story.
Stick around, 'cause I am coming back. And I know someday I'm gonna make it big.
Talk about shit we talk about anyway. Just
Seriously.
That's the plan. That's the dream. But anyway, all right, let's get to the show. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Nick, John, and Jamie Show. I am John.
I'm Nick.
And I am Jamie.
So, gentlemen, fun-filled week. Lots going on. I kind of like how we started with a little bit of news last time. What do you guys think?
Go for it.
I'm down.
So, you know, you can get news from 10 different directions. The last place I ever get news from is actually the news.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I wonder why.
It seems like it's all about Trump anymore, so I just tune it out.
It's all bad, really.
Well, and the thing is, it's different from when we were kids, right? The news came on in the morning, it came on in the afternoon, and then it was 6 o'clock. It was periodic, right? Yep. Now you got. Speaking of news, we got dogs barking in the background. But now you got all day, all news, all the time. Yeah. And if you don't, and this is what I do, I curate my news feed. Like I'll use Flipboard and I'll use Twitter and I'll use things, but I can subscribe to the things that I'm actually interested in, and not the things that are so goddamn heavy because it's everywhere. But speaking of which, I was on my Twitter feed. And apparently Stan Lee has kind of gone into seclusion.
Really?
No shit.
After the allegations, probably?
I don't think it was after the allegations, but he has this, I can't remember the guy's names, but it's like his guy, his handler, his assistant, who's been with him for years. And Kevin Smith had tweeted out that, you know, I haven't heard from him, and I've dialed every number that I usually dial, and apparently he's like firing people and dismissing people. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and then there was that scare a little while ago too, where he had pneumonia. So a little worried about Stan the man.
So that's what you meant about Stan Lee being on the way out.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a kid. He's 95 years old. It's like, yeah, you've led a really good and full life, but I dig every cameo I see on every Marvel flick. You know, it could easily take you out of the film, but it's really cool when you see Grandpa Stan.
It's going to be weird not seeing him.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, because it's eventually going to happen. I mean, because he's like you said, he's old. So.
Father Time, man. Yeah. He's a real dick. You know, seriously, there ain't no fighting that guy.
Can't outrun him, man.
Nope. Actually, you know, I've read not to get totally off topic of the news. I read an article. You know, what's that Neil deGrasse Tyson? One of those guys. He predicts within the next 20 to 30 years that we'll be able to conquer Father Time.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Figure it out.
Shit, like that's in my lifetime. Sweet.
Yeah, right?
He said like 2050, right?
Something like that. Definitely our kids.
Yeah, but it's going to be like altered carbon where you're going to have to be rich to like afford that shit.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, I better start saving now, dude. I'm getting real frugal now, dude.
Who knows? You hope like there's some madman like, you know, Elon that's going to, you know, be the benefactor of us all. You know,
I always think it's gonna be like In Time with that Justin Timberlake movie, which I actually did like. I don't know how you said. I liked it. I always think it's gonna be like that.
Alpha Dog, dude, he's the man.
Yeah, you're right. I liked it because it was all about, you know, it wasn't like the chip, like the altered carbon where you put something in your body. It was all about giving lives, and I keep thinking it's going to be like that because of the genetics and all that. They're trying to figure out how the cells stop having the cells break down every time they split.
Yeah, well, they say when you age, there's this thing that they can detect called telomeres.
That's it, telomeres.
And they're like frayed as you get older.
You would think that's just a breakdown of every time it splits, every time a little minute 0.001 .0000000.
Yeah, well, they can detect it at the genetic level.
Yeah, they got to find the marker. They were telling they're close to finding the marker that breaks it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, now all we're missing is time travel.
And yeah,
And then I'll be a time cop.
And
dude.
a DeLorean.
Or you can be a time cop like Van Damme.
Don't down that movie. I like
I'm
that
not
movie.
down it. Hey, man.
That chick was hot, too.
You
His
hear me
wife was
talking
smoking
trash.
in that movie.
I used to watch that religiously.
80. What did he, with the dots on the board?
I can't remember that movie. It's been so long.
The house blows up at the end.
Dude, time cop, man.
We have to do a gauntlet, a marathon of Van Damme.
We should just do an episode purely of good and bad Van Damme movies because there's plenty of both.
Yeah. Well, it'll stray right into the Seagal territory, too.
Oh my God! You ever see the episode of Friends when he showed up on Friends?
No.
Oh, Van Damme was on Friends. He was
I
like
thought you meant
Monica.
Steven Seagal.
No, he was never. God. Talk about the worst actor ever.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys that thinks he can actually do this stuff in real life.
Yeah, but you
Something's
know
weird
what?
about
I
that.
did
Who,
like
Van Damme, you mean?
No,
Seagal was a Navy
Seagal.
SEAL, wasn't he? Though.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
he was.
He was like the mayor, and he thought he could like I don't know how old he is, but he thought he could like beat people in
Taekwondo.
no UFC. Like,
Oh,
you
really?
remember
Did
that?
he do
You don't remember
UFC?
that?
No.
That was like in the past like couple years. He like came out and said he could like defeat somebody in there. Like,
I think he was a Navy SEAL though.
or no, he didn't say he could defeat somebody. He said he could like help somebody get to the top. I'm like, dude, relax, buddy, relax.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I did like when Seagal, the way he seemed very practical. Like, it wasn't big, dramatic. Like, he was the opposite fighter of Van Damme. Right, Van Damme was like, "I'm going to jump in spinning back kick." Right,
It would take so much time, and somebody could easily just duck or move
and
out
where
of the way.
Seagal was like a cook, and then he came out and kicked your ass. Like, is that what you're talking about?
No, but he would
His
like, do
moves.
like a couple of moves and then like almost slap you in the side of the face to take you
Yeah,
down.
I liked. Yeah, you're right. He had the insulting ass kicking. Like he'd smack you in the face like you all the sock or whatever.
And he wouldn't have a facial expression. You just look at him.
No,
Like,
the one
really?
it was the one facial expression. It was like, get the like you're an asshole. I'm gonna put you down. Yeah, and he was tall. So
And then
like, he just put you
there was
back.
actually a real martial artist who sucked at acting, was Jet Li. Loved him.
Yeah.
He was badass.
He was one of the coolest parts about the Lethal Weapon 4. I think.
4 was so good. My favorite Lethal Weapon probably is 3, but I liked 4.
Yeah, I
4
mean,
was
I gotta
really
go
good.
with the original. For sure.
I liked the original, but it doesn't hold up for me. Not now.
That's a good point because I haven't watched it in a while. I guess I don't like it
Still
that much.
the best, dude. Bruce Lee. I mean, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Enter the Dragon?
Dude, you
Yeah.
cannot
So I was looking up.
Mess
I was
with
just
that.
that's funny. I was just thinking about Bruce Lee.
I
And
watched that recently again.
Which one?
Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, it's so
That's
good.
the one with
It's his,
Kareem
it's his,
Abdul-Jabbar,
it's
right?
a-
yeah,
Yeah.
it's his biggest hit.
And then his son, Brandon Lee, he had a couple good hits.
He was on his way, and then he died in The
like
Crow.
he had like The Crow. I mean, and that was good. Don't get me wrong, but like I forget that one movie he was in. This is where we need the lackey.
Yeah, we
the
need a
one where
monkey boy.
he was like I don't know if he was like a cop or something like that. And
I think he would have made it, to be honest with you, because he
He's
had
badass.
It's not only the moves he had. I think he had the personality. If you ever watch interviews with him, old interviews, obviously, he just really had a good personality. And I think personally, in Hollywood in general, you have to have that it factor, just not on the screen, off the screen.
Yeah.
And he had that. And it sucks about Bruce Lee because
Sucks for
dying,
both of them.
Yeah, dying so young. He was the last quote unquote dragon. What that means is, and I actually had to research this when I found out, it's a master of the 5 main martial arts. You don't become, and he created his own martial arts. What is it called?
I forget.
I know what you're talking about. It was
He
like a
created his
combination.
own. A lot of UFC fighters use that style because it takes out a lot of the bullshit, but it's so hard to learn.
Yeah, I mean, and it was funny though because I looked up. I was like thinking to myself, how cool would it be to have a Bruce Lee game? Like, why haven't they done a Bruce Lee
Yeah,
game?
well,
He actually beat up Jackie Chan when
the
he was
dude-
33 years old. When Jackie Chan was about like 23.
Well,
He-
Jackie Chan, he talks about
I'm
when
sorry,
he met.
Jamie.
No, you're all right.
He talks about when he met Bruce Lee, and they hung out together. For
Well,
a
they were
little while.
friends, but they did a tournament, and Bruce Lee kicked his ass.
Yeah,
In
well,
a
he was
tournament.
like his hero too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Lee is the shit, dude.
Yeah.
And, he ain't no grasshopper because the grasshopper, he's not sitting there like jacking off, biting on lemon wedges to like keep himself awake, you know. And then
Be like Walter.
He missed, yeah.
You ever see that interview? Be like
You're
Walter.
talking about David Carradine, right?
Yeah. And then the last show, like that's
What
why
a humiliating way
that's
to
what
die.
I mean. He forgot the lemon wedge, dude, to wake himself up. Poor guy. You know what I mean? He was one lemon wedge away from staying awake.
Was it true though? You know that Bruce Lee movie they made a couple years. You're dying.
That kills me.
Hey,
Did he
man,
really have the?
facts.
That was his thought for the show. Was it Bruce Lee's idea for that show?
He was helping to, if my memory serves me right, he was helping to. He was going to be a part of it, but I don't know if he was like the creator of it, or no doubt he wanted to be involved in the producing of it.
Yeah,
but I don't know what the actual engagement was.
because he was well before his time. Because that was before Hollywood wanted to acknowledge Asian actors.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, and he was a bombshell, man. He was a legit badass. He wasn't just movie badass.
He hung out with Steve McQueen, man.
Yeah.
Dude, Steve McQueen, another badass dude.
Ah.
Bullet was the shit.
Did you ever see The
Oh,
Great
it was
Escape?
awesome.
Yes,
God, I
Seen
love that
too.
movie.
On the
Loved it.
motorcycle?
Oh yeah,
I still
throwing the ball against the wall.
Yep.
When he was in
the Bullet scene, man, with the Mustang and the Charger.
I didn't see that,
You
no.
can't,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
beat that. Still to this day.
That is some. Yeah.
When you
see,
think of
now I
cool,
wanna
you
just,
think
like,
of
go
Steve
watch
McQueen.
movies all day.
Yeah, seriously.
especially when you're hungover. Always helps.
Yeah, I partook a little bit last night.
I did too.
So that's we kind of meandered a little bit, but that's kind of what that is what we do. I saw A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, what did you think? Really, seriously?
I tweeted what I thought about it, but there's only so much you can do in that many characters. But what I thought it was visually a stunning movie, like really amazing.
We were just talking about that on the ride over because you said you saw it. And
Yeah.
We know the visuals will be great, but the story.
Visual. I mean, it's a. If you read the book, it's a. Like the kids have read the book. I haven't gotten through the whole book, but what I have read, was pretty impressive as far as literature. But the movie, put it this way, my favorite parts were with Chris Pine, and that's not just because I'm a Chris Pine fan. I mean,
Not because he's dreamy.
he is very dreamy. I mean, he's just swimming those beautiful
That's
blue
what I was
eyes
gonna-
of his.
It's Captain Kirk, man.
So, but it was because what he brought to the. It felt like he was making the actors there better.
That's when
Yeah.
you have a really good actor.
Yeah, and it was like that was the part where I got it touched me emotionally while I was watching this movie. But for the most part, the characters seemed really truncated, and it seemed a little ridiculous the way they started on their adventure. It's like you wanted to invest in the characters. You could see how this could unfold into this bigger and bolder and more interesting movie, but it was like you meet these supernatural characters and you're like, and then they're just like, okay, let's go on our adventure. And there's nothing, it's all surface. It's all quick, boom, boom, boom. And next thing you know, you're off into this story arc. And other than it being visually compelling, I'd say it's an okay movie.
Well, my question for you is: so this is like Oprah's movie. Her last movie was The Grapes, right?
No, she was in something before.
Was she?
After that, right?
Now,
I can't remember.
was she all right in this? Because
She was good. I mean, they're all talented, but it was like it didn't seem like it seemed like she was playing Oprah.
yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like she's better like handing out cars to the audience than doing this. Or
Who got a car? You got a car. You got a car.
Or
Right.
It was all I can say is that it was visually a stunning movie to watch. I mean, really, really awesome.
But
way
then
they did
that
things.
goes to what we always talk about with storylines. It's
Yeah.
just if there's not a good storyline and you're not doing the story justice, I don't care how good the visuals are because there's a couple of movies that had great visuals. That
Yeah, I
Exactly.
didn't hate the movie. I just thought it as there was a lot of potential to it, and it's maybe because there was so much meat in the literature that they just had to
Cut it out.
Yeah, they had to cut it out.
I like Nick was just saying, dude. I am a story guy. You know what I mean?
That's where it starts.
Even when I'm watching porn, dude, it's got to be somewhat believable, dude.
You're the
or
guy.
I'm just not bought in.
Wait,
you know what I'm saying? Come on.
He's the guy that gets.
There's no way that guy's a pizza delivery guy.
That guy's way too good looking to be a pizza delivery guy. You know
After
what I
he's
mean?
done his business, he still watches the rest to find out the story.
I want to know the outcome.
He's invested.
I want to find out the second climax, if you will.
But yeah, there has to be some kind of to be really a good movie. I mean, there has to be a good story to it because if you just show all these good visuals, like what was really good, Jupiter Ascending. You ever watch that movie? Either one. I love the visuals, the ships and all that. The story sucked.
Yeah, well, that was the same thing with the Valkyrie, not Valkyrie. What was it? And the City of a Thousand Planets.
I just watched that.
Yeah, Valerian. And the City
Valerian.
of a Thousand
I didn't
Planets.
like the kid they got. The girl was fine. She's hot. Supermodel,
but
whatever.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Really awesome movie to watch.
Yeah.
But not an awesome movie to watch. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but then like
There you go.
there's a couple movies I can't think of them off the top of my head though, where the story's good and then the visual sucks, and I'm still okay with that. You know what I
Sure.
mean? It's not the best.
Well, that's how you're able to watch old
Yeah,
movies.
because I need to be bought in, man.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny you bring up that movie, the Thousand Planets or whatever.
Valerian and the City of a Thousand
I
Planets.
watched it, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. But I'm like, I got to get to the end. It's one of those things where I just wanted to find out what happened. And I'm like, after you see the end, like, I knew it was going to suck. I just wasted 2 hours
I
of my
wanted that movie
fucking
to
day.
be so good.
I did too, because you see the visuals and you're like,
Yo, Nick was the first one to say "fuck." I'm just gonna call that out real quick.
You get the swear jar.
Yeah. That's what I said. I
Do it.
suggested that we bring in a swear jar.
I think it'll be between me and Jamie every week.
Yeah, dude.
Because we all said you say shit a lot, but
Faux show.
I do.
But
know, my
the women
dad-
didn't care for that. They didn't mind that too much.
My dad, I never heard my dad say the F word. All my
Really?
life. Yeah. Never. And it was one of those things where it's like, and I asked him about it one time. He goes, I just don't think it's necessary.
How'd you bring it up? Were you like, "What the fuck, Dad"? How come you don't-
You get slapped across the face.
Yeah, he just was like, oh, I did say it in front of him one time. He gave me a pop in the shoulder, and he was just like, boom. I was like, oh. And he's like, I don't want to ever hear that out of your mouth again. And I was like, okay, Dad. But that was it. So yeah, all visual, and I don't even want to say that it was a crappy story, because I think the premise of the story was great. I just think it was just, there was a lot of potential that wasn't realized,
Right.
in the characters.
So we're glad me and Jamie didn't say it, right?
Yeah, you can save your
I don't think you could have paid me to go see that. Honestly, but.
Yeah, but although I don't know, and you never want to talk down to kids, but I don't know if like Reese might dig the movie as a little girl.
Yeah, that's.
Because it's not. Maybe that's the target audience.
I would
it probably
assume
is.
that's what it looks like in the previews. It would be a target. Would be little girls,
Yeah.
not boys. Little girls, just because how they.
Yeah, and
did
I'm
it.
not opposed to those kind of movies. Like that Narnia movie wasn't bad.
Oh, I like the Narnia.
You know
I
what
didn't
I mean?
like the
That-
second one, but I liked the first
Yeah,
one.
but I was perfectly fine with that movie.
Yeah, and that's another classic piece of literature too.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Was it made? I guess it was made after World War II.
Yeah.
Because it was based. That's how they based it.
Like Lord of the Rings, that's another one.
Oh, dude.
I mean,
Well, no.
that
That's
movie's-
not a kid. That's our.
yeah, I
that's
know.
right in our
That
wheelhouse.
movie's awesome.
So
All
that
of them.
movie was the only movie where the movie exceeded my imagination with the Balrog scene.
We're leaving out the Hobbit, by the way. It was
Yeah.
But The Hobbit I hold in regard in the same way I hold
Oh my God,
The
they
Last
milked
Jedi.
They milked the dog shit out of that thing.
I know. It
Nah,
should've
Dude,
been-
like they should have just did one movie.
I agree.
Maybe
Right.
two.
Maybe two.
Could stretch it to two, but three was just. They were just trying to make.
They're
money.
grasping at your dollars, son.
Yeah. I did like Ben Cumberbatch as Smaug, though, as the dragon.
Oh, that's right. He was. I didn't realize that.
And he's going to be... Now, tell me what you guys think about this. He's going to be in the new Grinch. They're doing another animated Grinch
Dude,
movie.
you can't. Jim
original.
Carrey is a genius, dude. I'm sorry. He is like when he see. I was so disappointed, like when they made him the Riddler, which was like the best thing you could do. But then it was like it sucks because it was like a shitty writing
The production
job.
was-
They did like a butch hack job on the writing of that whole movie.
Well,
they-
all those movies except for the original.
But I'm saying-
I thought was shit.
when we were talking about like
two was good.
but when we were talking about when we were talking about the X-Men, though, like same thing, utilization of good characters like Patrick Stewart as Xavier, whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jim Carrey, like Jim Carrey as the Grinch, and it was well written. Good luck, like trying to beat that. Now, the only time I've seen that done that I can like recognize is like Heath Ledger as a Joker as like Jack Nicholson to the Joker. Now, it's two different kind of setups.
Yeah.
But both good, and I'm going to say I'm tipping towards the Heath Ledger one.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But other than that, like, you know what I mean? I could probably do without like the new Grinch.
Yeah, I think it was done the best way, the first way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it's just a money grab.
Yeah.
Because
Isn't it all though?
Well, they all are,
Yeah.
but I mean, they see an
Scott-
opportunity just to throw a couple bucks and get a couple dollars because it's Christmas and they have to redo a lot of shit.
They'll pay
every
off
year.
Rotten Tomatoes. They'll give them like a 90 on the tomato meter. Whatever the hell they.
That's a death toll, man. If anybody, that's the thing about the people that do ratings and stuff. If you like Consumer Reports, if it's ever even a whiff in the air that you're taking money, then to inform or misinform your audience, you're done.
Yeah, well, it's like what I was actually talking to Nick about this last night. If you go back years, like the whole Siskel and Ebert thing, like you may have not agreed with those two, and they had two like different opinions sometimes and whatever,
Which was the key.
which was the key. But like you could like even if they gave it like a crap review, you would still like somewhat like recognize them as like a legitimate like critic. Both
Yeah.
of them, critics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like ever since then, like the critics, I'm just not bought in, dude. Because everybody's a critic nowadays, including us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like every Joe, Dick, and Harry, and then you got like Rotten Tomatoes trying to like, they're like
Every Nick, John, and Jamie.
yeah, exactly. But you know, now you got like the Rotten Tomatoes, and like I tell you what, they have been way off since the beginning, in my opinion.
Well,
They've
and
been off
here's
the last
the-
couple of years anyway, definitely.
And here's the thing about, so they're almost like social media aggregator, right? So they'll have people that are critics, and then it's like there's sites out of there, and they're aggregators. It's a thumbs up and thumbs down, and that's what ranks your story or your whatever up, and it gets aggregated into this net result, right? And so there could be people that are trying to, and this is the trickiest part, people that are trying to game it, you know? So you could game anything. You could hire, 200 people from India to go and just like the hell or tweet the hell out of whatever you have. Now, some people have gotten a little bit more sophisticated about it, and they're able to detect bullshit. But yeah, there's been times when they've been way off, and there's times when they've been spot on. So.
yeah, it's like the whole like Jan Winter owning like Rolling Stone and then the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame kind of thing to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The
It's
deck
like
stack.
it's kind of like there's plays going on behind the scenes, and I just don't give a shit about.
Yeah. I mean, we trust our own opinion.
Well,
that's
that's
what
what-
we should do.
That's yeah. At the end of the day, you do, but that's why I'm starting to lean more towards an audience opinion.
Mm-hmm.
If you see a lot of fans, like
Exactly.
because that's
They're
where
the
you get the
ultimate
truth.
critic.
That's
The
exactly.
ultimate critic.
If you see a lot of people are putting there in the 80s and 90s saying this is great, like look at Bright. I was reading your little article you sent us this morning. Bright got crushed by the critics. The CEO said, well, obviously, something along the lines of critics obviously misjudged this because a lot of the fans like it. It was a huge success for us.
Well, we touched on this a little bit about the Oscars last week when we said, you know what, box office versus Oscar, awards. None of the films that won awards were, well, not none, but were real box office smashes, right? You look at, and so who's really doing the voting? The public's doing the voting with their dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly. I mean, Like the other night, I watched a movie with Brian, and it was Wind River.
Yeah, you're telling me about this.
I was like, I'd never even heard of it before, and it came out last year, and it was damn good. You know what I mean?
Tell me about it.
It's Jeremy Renner's in it, and he's like this. His daughter had died a couple years ago, and he's a tracker. Like he tracks like animals and stuff. He's like a wildlife guy, right? So
is it present day time?
Present day time, and there was a steer that was killed, and he lives on an Indian reservation. It's like in Wyoming, like in the it's like a big land, and he's tracking like some animal that killed a steer, and he comes across a girl who was dead in the middle of nowhere, and the FBI really can't do anything because it's like out of their jurisdiction because it's an Indian. Yeah, it's on a reservation. So, and you can see where this is going because I don't want to ruin it for people, but he like helps track the killer.
Wow.
And he's got like a personal vendetta because somebody killed his daughter a couple years before, which the girl who died is actually her friend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So really good story. Shout out to that movie. It was really good. But my question is going back is where the hell is the marketing on that?
Yeah.
Well, there might be it might be like an indie film. They have a lot of festivals for that because they don't get the production value is not high for them, and it's just kind of like they.
Well, see, this is my problem though. So they didn't market that, and I think that's a good movie. Now, somebody else could say that sucks, but
does he shoot a bow and arrow?
No, he does not. But
Indian tracker.
He's sick with a gun. So anyway.
He's like, there was probably one written into the story, and he's like, "You are out of your mind. No friggin' way I'm shooting a bow and arrow."
But
typecast me, you son of a bitch.
My point is, though, I mean, I don't understand why they market the shit out of these ego-stroking movies. Like all these movies that go for Oscars and stuff that, obviously not that many people are watching. And why don't they market movies like this that have, a good story? A good, you know what I mean? That'll suck you in. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Somebody was telling my wife Shannon was telling me last week we were talking about the same topic. She goes, "Well, these movies that get presented in the Oscars are because it's all about the craft." But I was thinking about a couple of years ago. There's a lot of great movies that did well in the box office that got nominated for awards. Gladiator was won Best Picture, won Best Actor. There's a couple of Beautiful Mind got nominated. Training Day got nominated. Yeah, but these are great movies that actually did well. What happened to these movies nowadays? Now they're just doing all the artsy shit.
Exactly my point.
Well, and there could be, I don't know. Now, granted, it's just the Academy, right? There's people that are.
There's old men that make these.
It's the Jan Winter thing, though. It's like the whole Jan Winter thing.
But here, think about this, and this is just me hypothesizing. Think about this: is it that these movies are good? Because I saw Shape of Water. I thought it was a really great movie.
She makes love with the fish, whatever.
Yeah, they're calling it Grinding Nemo.
Yeah, Grinding Nemo. I mean, a sci-fi movie actually wins it all, and I could care less to see the damn thing.
It's actually pretty good. It's told in a very.
I wonder what they called on Mr. Skin. That's my curiosity, though, because he comes up with the best terms.
Bestiality, right?
The dude's the man, dude. Like back burger and side muff. It's crazy.
So, but it could be sort of post marketing.
Yeah,
movie comes out. They spend a couple bucks on it, and then it's just how much more money can we make out of this movie? And an Oscar would definitely get people excited about it again to put another couple dollars in the coffers.
But do you think people were actually putting an extra couple dollars in after the Oscars?
Cindy said, "You know what? I want to see that movie."
What, Shape of Water?
Yeah, you don't understand. Marketing is very pervasive. Right, and it's because it comes at you in 20 different. I had ad courses and marketing courses in college. It's because it's a marketing campaign Think about a campaign. Like wars are started with, war strategies are associated with the word campaign. That's because they're not just sending in foot soldiers, right? The campaign is we're going to hit them air, land, sea. Yeah. We're going to hit them that way. And that's the force that comes behind these movies. That's how come it's like you have a movie that's a good movie and it's a $20 million movie. They're not going to spend another $30 million in marketing. Yeah. Right, and that's why you get them.
Yeah, they're like Kiss, man. They'll get you coming and going.
Yeah, and so with that kind of you're going to get people that are going to be like, all right, well, I can't turn my head without hearing about the Oscars, right? And now it's on TV, and by the way, now it's in this magazine I'm reading. Oh, by the way, it's in the news feed that I have, and so boom, 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 and next thing you know, you're like, hey, maybe I should check out this movie. It's kind of subliminal, and I don't want to get on conspiracy theory, but if you think about it, back in the day, we watch a movie, they had to do away with this practice because every, I think, 20-something frames, they would flash popcorn or they'd flash soda.
Oh, really?
And then people would get up and go to the, like a lemming, they'd get up and go to and go and buy shit at the convenience stand or the, and it's like, they were like, no, you can't do that. That's like illegal. Well, now it's illegal.
Yeah.
But how much different really is that than what we go through every day?
You're right. Mm-hmm. It's just like a loophole pretty much.
Yeah. So anyway, I digress. Back to the show. The other thing I wanted to bring up is obviously they got Wonder Woman 2 coming out. There was no doubt that was going to be
that was smashed. The first one. It was awesome.
What do you guys think about Kristen Wiig of Saturday Night fame, of Ghostbusters remake Infamy, joining the cast as the villain Cheetah?
Yeah, well, I don't blame her for the Ghostbusters 2 Infamy.
You said she was fine. It was the storyline.
Yeah, no, it had nothing to do with any of the cast members.
I got him charged up.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm charged up. And I want to put this out there. It had nothing to do with any of the cast members. It had nothing to do with the fact that they were women. Whoever wrote that shit, man, women, child, you suck. It was terrible writing, dude. It was bullshit. Well, anyway, I'm curious to see if they're going to take it, if she's going to be serious or she's going to be like comedic. And she's funny as hell. So,
maybe a little bit of both. You would like
her
to
comedy's
see,
great.
And is it the same director that's doing one that did one is doing two?
Yeah.
So she did a phenomenal job. I'm not worried about it at all. And the person that got playing Wonder Woman's fantastic. So I mean,
Gal Gadot. I feel bad because I'm like, I don't know if I'm butchering her name or not.
I think it's Gal Gadot.
She's hot as hell.
Yeah.
She has kids too. Did you know that?
She really?
She was pregnant during the shooting.
Oh. What? She's like ridiculously
Dude, there's
hot,
a panel, like a green screen panel on her suit at one point because she had a little baby bump.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and she still threw down.
Yeah, dude.
She's so badass.
Yeah.
Something about a woman that kicks some ass.
Good for her, dude.
We'll talk about Jessica Jones later.
Well, we all have strong women in our lives, so it's a little bit of a late shout out. But, International Women's Day. I mean,
I didn't even know that was a thing until last night. They were talking about it. I'm like, what?
Shout out to the General in Black Panther, dude.
Yeah.
She's legit.
Michonne.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. So you guys think it's going to be a good thing?
What?
Kristen Wiig?
Oh yeah,
Cheetah?
I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah, especially because it's in the hands of the same.
It's like
crew.
putting something in Kevin Feige's hands. You know what I mean? When he gets the new Marvel, I was telling Jamie about it last night. He was asked a question about Disney acquiring Fox, which hasn't been finalized yet, but as long as the government says okay, it will be finalized soon.
Oh man, I'm stoked.
He said we haven't looked that far ahead. Probably has. They're probably already itching to get in there. But what is he supposed to say? But they're all hyped up about it. And I wanted to bring up this in news. I was reading about Captain Marvel. It's going to take place in the 90s.
I just saw that.
And it's going to be Nick Fury's first introduction to a superhero.
No.
So still Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
Dude, the man.
Right.
Dude's awesome.
You can't
like my favorite, dude.
You can't replace him.
Oh,
it's one of the few things of the prequels of Star Wars I loved, Mace Windu.
Yeah. No, you know what? I'm going to have to disagree on that.
Really? You didn't like him as Mace?
I just... It's his character, his voice, his personality is such a force, no pun intended, that I couldn't get out of my head. Like I was waiting for him to bust out.
I thought he did a damn good job.
I thought
I
he
thought
was
he did a
awesome.
good job, and it's not on him; it's on me.
But
Yeah,
he was
no,
like
I
he,
like it.
he was
You
more
know?
like a darker Jedi. That's what I liked about him.
I like the purple lightsaber.
That was bad.
Like even the snakes on a plane shit. It's just like dude,
I never
like,
saw
I
that.
love that guy so much. Like it's just like I know this is stupid. I'm gonna screw it. You know what I mean? It's my beer, bitch.
Yeah, that was a paycheck movie.
Royale with cheese.
Yeah, dude's awesome.
But yeah, I thought that was a clever little thing about. I read that article, and it was just they're going to take place in the 90s. And that's right in our genre. I grew up in that age. You grew up in that age. You were getting married in that age. I'm just kidding with you, dude.
I was in college at that age.
But still, it's right where we all started talking about liking comic books and liking
Yeah.
that. And to have a remake. They've done remakes like take place in the 80s. I don't think they've done one in the 90s yet.
You know, that's a good call because some of the TV shows, you'll see some of the Netflix shows are doing 90s, but it's not. I think everybody was all over and salivating over the 80s. They still are, you know, with shows
Because
like
the '80s are the shit, dude.
They are.
80s are pretty
But you know
fun.
what?
And Ready Player One, they do it in the voiceover in the trailer.
I
Yeah.
I
remember
always
back in
wanted
the
to live in the 80s.
Yeah. I remember back in the day when people thought the 80s sucked.
There's
I'm
a
not-
lot of shitty parts about the 80s, man.
yeah.
I lived in it, you know, but there was a lot of good stuff too.
Come on, dude. I'll even live through the LA Gears with the 5 shoelaces.
Dude, the thing about the 80s too, like, so the 80s was the hair band, glam band time, right? And if
The
you
mullet time?
it was a mullet time.
You know, women didn't shave, but
Women shaved in the
no,
80s.
I'm talking about downstairs.
That was the 70s. They
Yeah,
were-
well, 80s too. Come on, they didn't. You think they put a
70s,
razor?
they just
they
didn't
didn't put a
shave their
razor to that shit in the 80s either, dude. I'd say 90s. You know, I'm talking like Lisa Loeb years and all that stuff. Then they start, Alanis
I think you'd be
Morissette.
surprised. But the thing about the 80s too is that, that glam rock period, which was like the darkest period in my mind as far as like, Poison and,
Yeah.
oh God, that was some painful shit. And so
Come
you
on.
hung on to
Every
the set.
rose.
Oh my God. Skid Row and every time you wanted to hold on to the 70s if you're in, as far as your musical affection was, as long as possible, 60s and 70s. Even early 80s wasn't so bad. But then the thing that pulled everybody out was, as far as rock and roll was concerned, in my mind, was Guns N' Roses.
Hell yeah, Sweet
Guns
Child
N' Roses,
of Mine.
they came around and kicked the fucking door open.
Appetite for Destruction.
And then it led into the 90s grunge, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you got Nirvana and Pearl Jam and everything. And it was this resurgence of like decent music.
Wasn't it like
Soundgarden.
30 years of his anniversary of his death or something like that? Nirvana's lead singer.
Kurt Cobain.
I remember that too, like vividly.
me
Like
too.
everybody, like all the women, all the girls, like wearing black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And everybody was saying they still say him or something like kind of like an
Yeah.
Elvis type deal. It's like
Yeah. Well, I mean,
He was an innovator, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah,
he
he's
was a
definitely
troubled guy though.
It was a good. I liked that time. That time in music too. That little resurgence in the early 90s. But
That's why it would be cool. I think that's going to be a really cool nod to the 90s.
yeah,
'cause-
I think
nostalgic.
you're right.
yeah.
So the only other thing I really wanted to mention in the news was Mark Hamill got his little star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
What took so long?
Yeah, seriously,
know.
that is the question.
Yeah, I mean, all right. He made his only 3 big movies before he made The Last Jedi. Not Last Jedi.
Big Red
sorry.
One.
Did he? That's right. He was in that.
It's Big Red One, and
the Star Wars, obviously. But I'm trying to think outside. But who cares? The Star Wars movies were iconic.
yeah,
I mean,
Let's not forget Cockknocker. That's his role.
Jay and
It's Jay and
Silent
Silent
Bob.
Bob.
did he have a mustache in one of those movies?
Nah, he played like
he had a big giant fist.
Yeah. Oh, and the Joker. Come on, he played the Joker in the animated cartoon. So right there is worthy of a star, if anything else.
He should have got a star before Donald Trump got his star.
God forbid. Let's not even go there.
But anyway, but Mark Hamill up on the podium before he came on. Harrison Ford was there to say a few words. God, I love Harrison Ford as an actor, but his personal persona makes me want to. I felt like a narcoleptic listening to him talk. He's so soft spoken and almost like, and you're like, oh my God, I'm getting sleepy.
It's like Ben Stein effect.
But he did give a nod, a shout out to Carrie Fisher, and he mentioned that it's a shame that one of the trio isn't here, and it isn't with us any longer. But we do feel her in spirit, which I thought Harrison Ford was he crushed it that way. And then Mark Hamill, he's such a humble guy. Thanks his family first. Apparently, all his brothers and sisters came out, and Harrison Ford did bust his balls a little bit. He goes, "I had a bigger crowd."
That's funny.
But it was cool to see Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill get his star.
And you know what? I have to admit, ever since they released the new movies, you see him doing interviews now. He seems like you said, a real genuine guy. I mean, because before I'd never actually watched any interviews with him, but every time he does a speaking engagement or something like that, he's real laid back and relaxed. Yeah. He doesn't seem like uptight at all when he's talking, and
he's hysterical on Twitter.
Yeah, is he really?
Yeah,
I gotta get on Twitter. I keep meaning to sign up.
He's hysterical. I mean, he knows he doesn't take it too seriously. He pokes fun at himself, and he feels very fortunate and blessed and lucky to have been given the life that he's been given. And this is someone who could be one of those bitter stars who was like, Star Wars ruined my life, ruined my career. But, he managed to make do with not even make do, succeed in other avenues of his life and maintain a career.
Yeah.
I mean, for now 40-some years.
I mean, we were talking about that before about actors get pissed because they don't want to be typecast. Dude,
yeah, well,
I don't get that.
If you get typecasted in, like, a Star Wars or something like that, even if you're like a B-level, C-level character, you can make money on just like Comic-Cons alone.
Oh, yeah.
Lando Calrissian, man. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just...
Even Star Trek. You look
there's no reason to be bitter,
Star Trek. I heard that... William Shatner and all them were like charging like $50 just for autographs. Imagine what the B-listers do. Like, it's probably like $25, and you just go there and collect that money, and it's probably... What, for Comic-Con?
You're not banging rocks and, or digging ditches. Come on, man.
I know.
I love when Shatner talks about like his fans. He's like, some of them he's like disgusted. He's like, oh God. He's like, please just leave me alone. Like,
he was great on Stern.
Yeah, no,
I've never heard him on Stern.
He's great when he talks about it. Like, he's just like some people like repeatedly come up to him and they'll ask him like all these like off the wall questions, thinking that he like remembers or knows or even gives a shit.
Yeah,
and he's like, he like looks at him and like gives some smart ass comment.
He said something, and it's famous now, where he was like, he's talking to all these fans, and he's like, to all you fans that adore and love this material, get a life.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure so many of them probably took offense to that.
I'm sure, but he doesn't give a shit. But that's why Galaxy Quest is such a good movie.
See, there's a good example. Galaxy Quest is a good example of a movie that had a good story,
very
but
clever.
like the visual is like kind of shit. You know what I mean? But I was good with it.
Yeah. I love that movie.
That movie's awesome.
Yeah, have you seen it?
Oh, of course I have.
Okay.
Spaceballs was probably better. If you're going to do a spoof, I thought it was better.
Spaceballs is all right.
Yeah, I put them in
really?
different...
I liked it.
Oh, no, I love Spaceballs.
I love
man.
Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Dude, like combing the sand.
Yeah.
And then we ain't
shit.
We ain't found shit.
We ain't found shit. And then they're actually using combs.
Yeah. We were jammed. And he's like licking the...
Yeah, that's a very cool.
Well, no, Galaxy Quest
Mel
was
Brooks,
great.
man.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Galaxy Quest was great. I mean, I watched it. I mean, how could you not? Sigourney Weaver's in it. Who else? Tim Allen.
Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver.
That guy with that from... what the hell is his name?
Snape from...
From
Snape.
Harry Potter, yeah.
He just recently passed away, didn't he?
Who was also in Kevin Smith movie. He was in God damn it. We
He
need
was
a
in
monkey
Die
boy.
Hard. He was in Die Hard too.
That was
The original.
Yeah. That was awesome. So
Hans Gruber.
So we were all dove into, just going to segue, a very abrupt segue. We all dove into Jessica Jones, season 2. Just got released. We did our best to crank through it.
John does like a call or a text
Like kamikaze,
midweek.
dude.
Can we get it done in 2 days?
Yeah, it's like, hey, dude, I got kids, I got a job. You know what I mean? I'm not in my teens, man. I'm not living in my mother's
Kids, your
basement. I
kids
wish I could. Believe me, I wish I could.
Our kids can't take care of themselves, John.
That's true. My kids are old enough. So so what I did was I basically dropped that bomb on you guys and said, "Yo, can we get done the whole season of Jessica Jones inside of a couple days?" And we didn't. And I don't even have an excuse, right? Because I don't have little kids. My kids are 11 and 13, and I only got through 8 episodes. So and coincidentally, it seems like you guys got to 8 episodes as well. So I was slacking because I didn't have butts to wipe or mouths.
Now, if that shit was released on Wednesday, I could have done it because I had off from the snow. But no, I had to release it the next fucking day.
Yeah. So what did you guys think? Initial thoughts?
At the start, sure, you guys will agree, it was kind of slow going. A lot of the stuff was, I already knew anyway. Kind of felt like I knew where it was going to go. But it wasn't until about the 7th episode where I'm at now where I saw the whole thing was really took a turn, and I really liked where it's going. I'm excited for the final 5 episoeds. So
Did you see when you saw the first season, what did you think of the first one?
I loved it. I thought it was good. Not as good as Daredevil. I probably put it on the lines of Punisher. I know it's sacrilege for you, James.
Dude, Punisher's the best. No, I know Daredevil's the best.
Daredevil's the best,
and
but I probably
then Punisher.
Yeah, but I thought it was great, and I really finally like where they're going in this direction.
Do you think it's because, and it's kind of a loaded question, do you think it's because the villain in the first one, Kilgrave was pretty
Intense.
awesome.
Yeah,
he was good. He was a good.
Just got
villain.
people doing all kinds of crazy shit, and
Yeah.
he had no conscience.
I like how they made fun of his name too. Kilgrave, good job.
Yeah, I like when they call out the ridiculousness of certain things that they bring.
But
in
this
from the
one, you
Marvel
almost
universe.
don't know. There's really no straight up villain as of yet.
Yeah, well, it's complicated. And by the way, there's going to be some spoilers for
because
anybody listening.
we just find out who the person that's killing everybody. It's the mom. So you're just like, all right, but you realize that it's just not totally her fault. It's part of what they did to her that created this uncontrollable person with super strength, even more than Jessica. So you feel for her in the sense, but I don't really necessarily think she's a total villain in this. Like, if a villain you think has like an agenda, I don't really think she has an overall agenda. I just think she wants to just be part of Jessica's life. Yeah. And she's just, because of what happened to her, she's freaked out.
Well, I like how it plays into Jessica's character. Up to this point, like, she was already confused of, is she an animal? Like, can she control herself?
And then she sees her mom.
Yeah.
So.
Or is it just like something she's just going through and something she just has to work through? It has nothing to do with her powers. It's not progressing into like she's just going to be a stone cold killer.
Yeah, well,
it's interesting.
It is interesting, and that's a great point. I think for me, I'm right with you, Nick. I thought it's a slow burn in the beginning, and here's the thing that I don't know if you guys, hopefully I won't ruin it for you, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Remember the cartoon Daria?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. She's like that. Yeah, she's exactly like that.
I didn't see that cartoon.
Daria. It's a spin-off of Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, and she's like a kind of nerdy but kind of emo and very monotone in her delivery.
Withdrawn from the world.
And as soon as I was like trying to think, like, who does Jessica Jones remind me of as far as her voice and the way she delivers all her lines? And I was like, man, she reminds me of Daria. Now I can't stop thinking about it. But
a perfect candidate to listen to Nirvana.
Yeah.
Perfect candidate.
But and so I was getting a little, I I was still in, right? It wasn't taking me out. It seemed ridiculous. But I got to the point where we're at now, which is like 6 and 7. And I was like, I saw this range of the actors, and I can't remember her name right now, but of
something Ritter.
Yeah, that's right.
It's Ritter's daughter.
Yeah.
Whose daughter?
John Ritter.
Oh, really? That's his daughter, the main actress?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it is.
But that's when it started to get interesting to me because, like, she started to really, like, get out of that monotone voice, and, like, it's kind of started to get a little tiresome. It's like, I need to see who you are a little bit more.
Well, I like it. Like, I like that character she plays. She's really good at that. You know what I mean? It's like a dark. No, I'm not letting anybody in. I like that.
I agree with John. I do. I agree with you too, but on a different level. You need to see more about why she got there
Kristen
and how.
Ritter.
Yeah, Chris. It is his.
I don't know if she's related,
but I think though, like that's the point of this series. That like this second season is it's like an origin story because you don't really know where Jessica came from.
Yeah, and they still haven't got into how.
Well, I like how they're diving into it now.
Right,
you know what I mean?
They still haven't got into it, which I'm hoping they get into in the next couple episodes about what treatments they did to them to transform into what they are, and they did hint on some kid that can heal people. So I'm assuming that's an important factor later with the attorney because she's all about trying to save herself from Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah, that's right. She's got ALS. It's good. It's really good. I'm totally into it. But really, it's kind of leapfrogged. I mean, not leapfrogged, but really has taken off even more since this episode 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the backstory, the flashback, where you see what happened to her original boyfriend. How the mom actually killed him. It was just,
dude.
Yeah, it's gritty too.
Yeah, it is real gritty.
How do you guys feel about Trish? I'm kind of getting over that character.
Well, she's supposed to be Hellcat, I think, in the comics.
Oh, really?
So you're right. There's something missing.
Yeah,
there's something that I want to.
She's easy on the eyes. I mean,
that's about it.
Sure. But it's like if she's gonna go, just go. Like if she's gonna become this superhero. I do like that if they're going to make her, give her powers, that it's done in a very kind of.
How did she get her powers in the comics?
No, I don't.
I don't remember.
Nah, it was never anything interesting.
Yeah,
so.
It wasn't one I read.
Yeah, but I think it's going to wrap up nicely. I don't like an obvious villain. I like a little complexity.
Yeah,
to where you're like
trying to guess.
Yeah, and you're like, you know what? They shouldn't be all pure evil, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's fun times when you get someone pure evil. Like Hela was cool in Thor.
Yeah,
and you're like, she just got to go.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know?
I mean, Thor. Not to touch back on that, but we all probably rewatched it this week or whatever.
Yeah,
really well done.
Yeah.
Really well done. The whole storyline back to
the comedy.
The comedy was right on the mark every time.
Well, I mean, Taika Waititi, if I'm getting his name right, the director comes from a comedy background.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
It was that 80s based music was perfect.
Yeah.
And it all meshed well together. You had the comedy between Thor and Loki. Do you know Matt Damon was in that movie, right?
Yes.
Do you know?
I didn't know that.
He played Loki dying.
Yeah.
Remember the act when they did they were doing like Loki's running.
Yeah, I remember
that was Matt Damon. When I watched it this time around, I was like, somebody told me I was like, check that out.
So Matt Damon, his best cameo was in Euro Trip. When he was
Scotty got to go. Scotty got to go. I used to love that chick, the girlfriend from Smallville. Smallville. Yeah. Love that shit.
So I think it's definitely fun. And I don't know, fun. It's not. I'm into it. I'm into it. They got me. I'll be there until the end, and then we can recap our recap once we finish out the season, out the series. And we've probably done this already, and we all touched on it earlier. So it's Daredevil, Punisher, and then Jessica Jones for you guys, or is it?
I'd probably go
Yeah.
Jessica Jones because I mean I like the Iron Fist. I didn't really watch the whole thing, and
Iron Fist was
It just
terrible,
kinda like-
Jamie.
I rewatched it. I'm telling you, rewatch it after watching the. Did you guys see the Defenders?
oh yeah,
yeah.
Okay, rewatch it now. I'm
Okay.
telling you,
I don't know
kinda
if
like-
I have the time.
I would listen. I was yeah, dick. I was with you on that though. Like I was like, Iron Fist. It's like it was kind of lame to me.
He seems kind of whiny to me.
Yeah,
I liked
he's like a little bitch. But
Yeah.
Put it this way, I didn't like it so much. My favorite part of Defenders was when Luke Cage beat his ass.
yeah, well, I'm with you. But after watching the Defenders and then you go back, it it fills in a lot of the blanks or reminds you, and that's why. And then I like his character better.
Is it kind of like the Avengers for Captain America? Because I didn't like the
Yeah.
original Captain. I didn't
Yeah,
hate it, but I didn't
it's
like it.
similar. It's very
Then
similar.
I watched the
to that.
Avengers, and then I went
Yeah.
back, and I appreciated it so much more watching Captain America.
Exactly.
There's some and
First Avenger.
We talked about this with Jessica Jones. There are some social overtones being tossed around in there.
Not heavy,
little
though.
Strong. I know this is
But
where
it's-
I think it's done artfully. Like,
Yeah,
not heavy.
that's what you got to do. You have to do it tastefully, and then I'm good with it. Yeah, because they did like the ALS. What are you gonna do? Throw a bucket of water on me?
Yeah.
Well,
Like, that's one of them.
But that's a reference to what's going on now. But they're talk a little bit about prejudice and
Yeah.
Oh, superhero prejudice. Yeah,
the
it's-
women's rights.
little Me Too
Yeah,
stuff.
little
you
Me Too
know?
stuff.
But they're not dosing us with it. I mean,
And that's why I brought it up.
Because to be honest with you, if you're going to make a movie that's based in present day, you're going to have some of these things trickle in.
As they should, but like use your mind and make something good. Don't put it out there just to put it out there for
Yep.
the sake of for the sake of the cause. Do it correctly. Do it tastefully.
People thought that about the first Dark Knight too, like the first Batman movie, the Christopher Nolan ones. They were like, "Wait a minute," and they said that because it was big, people were talking about their own rights to privacy. And if you remember, no, I'm
Yep.
sorry, it was the second one,
Yep,
not the
you're
first
right. I
one. It was the
remember this.
second one.
Yep.
It was
With what?
Because Lucius had created with
With the
technology.
sonar, and he
Yeah.
was like, I remember at
listening
the
on
end.
everybody's phone calls.
Yep.
So there was a big thing about wiretapping and what people had their right to privacy and all that during when that movie was coming out.
Alexa.
Yeah.
Alexa
I
can
swear,
hear you.
She does. She does. She knows.
I saw
Tracking
some-
us.
Yeah.
That's why he's the richest guy in the world. Tracks us where we talk to Alexa and all that. He knows.
Yeah, Bezos is beating off in the corner listening to you talk dirty to your wife.
Nothing is for free, man.
Got that right.
So you would go Daredevil first, then. Well, where would you put the Defenders in that list?
I'd say Daredevil 1 and 2, and then the Defenders, and then Punisher. Well, man, that's hard. That is hard.
The Punisher is starting to shoot too. Season
Punisher
2
is
they're starting to shoot
awesome.
that soon.
Yo, speaking of which, the Punisher. Sorry, I forget your name, dude. You're a really good actor.
John Barenthal.
Okay, he is in that Wind River.
Really?
Yeah,
And he's also in Walking Dead. So
yeah, I know. I'm on it, dude. I'm on it.
As soon as he gets through Jessica Jones, he can
Yes,
visit
I
the
can-
Walking
I
Dead.
can
Here's the thing:
convince-
we want to with Walking Dead, we want to do a season recap.
All right,
All right, so you're on the clock, man.
all right. Man.
you got
I
2
gotta
months.
punch in.
You
I
got
gotta
2
punch
months.
All right, I'm on it.
Yeah, so I would go. I think in those three, but you're right. I'd have to
It's tough.
Defenders. Where would that go? I'd actually say Defenders 4.
No,
It
I
just
put it.
seemed very-
I would put it before Jessica.
Before the first one.
Yeah, just because Daredevil's in it, and I love Daredevil.
I like the
Yeah.
Daredevils, Defenders, and Punisher. I don't know how I'd like Punisher and Defenders. I don't know how I'd rate those two. It's hard for me. And then Jessica Jones. I like
Yeah.
Luke Cage too. Luke Cage is good.
Yeah, it's all good stuff, man. We're splitting hairs because we enjoy all of it, right?
I say Luke Cage is. I would say Luke Cage is like. I kind of liked it better.
I'm thinking about that too now.
I'm like reviewing
I never.
it in
That's
my
the one I
head.
didn't watch at
Holy
all.
shit, it's
It's
good.
awesome.
I
It's really
have to
good.
get on that. I'll have to watch that. I never watched Luke Cage.
Oh, no, it's really interesting now that I'm thinking about it. Jessica Jones, they never did an origin for her first season.
No, they
That's what
kinda
I mean. That's why I think they're doing it now.
And I like that. I like
Yeah.
how they did that because I hate when a lot of times you watch these movies or shows and they start off with the origin story. I kind of like the fact that they didn't. They just kind of jumped into a story with
They
it.
jump in and dive back.
Then they dive back because then you can go back after you get a fan base and like, all right, this is cool. Now I know. Now I want to know where she's going. Why this happened to her?
Question too, real quick. I don't know. Are we going to get another Daredevil? Because I keep hearing mixed shit about.
I thought we were because they left that open because I think they are going to make another Daredevil.
I hope so.
It's a good question. I'm sure they
It's
are.
the best out of all of them, so they better.
Gomer Pyle as Kingpin is awesome. By the way, just putting that out there.
Oh yeah,
He's awesome.
I thought you meant the dude that played Gomer Pyle back in the day.
Well, no, I'm talking.
You're talking about Private Pyle.
Private Pyle. Sorry.
Yeah.
Back to what you were saying. They have to because how they.
You know what I meant.
That would have been a totally different Kingpin.
Yeah, you're right.
What, dude?
That would have been.
No, they have to because how they ended Defenders, where he supposedly woke up. You have to. You can't just start another Defenders with that.
Yeah.
They have to have a story where he comes back.
Yeah, they haven't mentioned anything about Daredevil or the Defenders in Jessica Jones.
They did in the beginning. They mentioned like a couple items. They
hinted towards it.
They hinted towards it
about the group of you're with this group of when she was tasked with that in the beginning to get that boyfriend, and she's like, "Well, you can kill him. Just you group of you people get together all the time and do these things."
Trish actually talked about it with her too, about losing Daredevil and stuff like that.
Did she?
Yeah,
I don't think they mentioned my name.
They didn't mention it by name, but they glanced over it real quick.
Because she's all broken up in the beginning. It's about losing some. And you notice at the end of Defenders, she was one of the ones that wanted to go back in and get him. And he's like, so it's pretty badass. I like it so far. To really.
Yeah. I think it's good. I think there's a lot of I like the way they're weaving in and out of the storylines from these individual characters. I mean, if I'm going to do a callback, and granted, they have a whole season and not just 2 hours in a movie, but understanding the lawyer character Jerry and how she's got her own shit going on, and then each one of them seem like they're characters that are being well formed.
Yeah, I like how they tie them all into each other too.
Exactly,
that's pretty sweet.
Well,
that's really smart.
Yeah.
Well, you look at Daredevil's best friend. He still paid a nod in this one again.
Right.
Yep.
He'll probably do it again at some point, I'm sure.
Foggy,
and she ripped into him, and he just went right back at her, and he's like, you're going to need somebody.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then so if they're hinting around, they had this healer, right?
Yeah.
I was wondering where they were going with that. So she has ALS, Trinity.
Trinity.
And
She was so hot in the Matrix.
So she
Still aged well, though.
Yeah, she's definitely holding up. But she has this ALS. We still haven't met this healer. But I thought what they were going to do is maybe figure out a way to juice her up somehow. But it sounds like they're going to do this healing thing with a character that hasn't been shown yet.
Or she still might. They might not have her, and she might die at the end of this. You never know.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
Yep, we will. It's definitely good stuff. It's the only thing we're watching right now.
Hell yeah.
So we're gonna give how many episodes?
I'm 8.
I'm on 8.
You're on 8. I'm on 8. Okay,
I'm partially
and it's what 10 or 13?
13. So
13.
next week we'll probably go through the whole spiel.
Yeah. So thumbs up on Jessica Jones so far. We hope it keeps going up because I think we've turned the corner at episode 7/8.
So if you're so if you are watching it, give it time.
Yeah, give it a little bit of time,
dude. I was so disappointed in my damn attention span.
What do you
because
mean?
When the first couple episodes they were kind of lacking or whatever, in my opinion, and man. I would hop on my phone.
Gotta put your phone away, man.
I know, it's so annoying. I don't like how I do that.
Yeah, but you know what? If
I've
been noticed though, if there's a show that gets me right in the first 2 episodes, that phone I don't even look at it
exactly. I'm with Nick.
Yeah.
But then if it's lacking and I'm just powering through it, then I hop on the damn phone. I should just put that damn thing.
The last episode with Jessica, I didn't pick up my phone.
Not even
once.
looking
I was
at
just
it.
oh, this was awesome. I just couldn't get away from the
I'm
TV.
looking for something. Yeah. It's weird. That's a weird.
What
thing to do.
What are you on when you're?
No, I just go through different things. It's not like I'm even looking at anything. I'm like, what are you doing? And then I'll be like, wait a second. And
It's society, man. It's the way we roll these days, man.
Damn Apple.
It's
Steve Jobs.
Damn internet. It's the internet.
It's all not even Apple. It's just everything.
It's the internet.
It's our
Social media.
Try reading if you haven't read in a while,
jeez.
right? After being fed, with the flipboard
What is
and
that?
with everything.
What do you don't
Talking about? I'm talking about there's these things like shapes.
call books?
Yeah, there's shapes that they print on a paper.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did that anymore.
I do listen to a lot of audiobooks on my drive.
So you got a long drive.
Yeah, but I listen to audiobooks a lot.
You listen to the show.
God, I'm an idiot.
I listen-
I'm thinking about it now. It's like, you idiot.
I'm telling you, man. I shit you not. It takes a minute for your brain to shift
Slow down.
and slow down and start to get into like reading, like old school reading.
See, I never was a fan.
Of reading?
Yeah, seriously. I'm not even trying to make
Notes guy, were you?
Yeah, that's it. See, I never could. There's only a few books I ever picked up and read cover to cover. I kind of like get into like 5th, 6th, maybe 10th chapter, and I'm just like, I put it down and I never
Not
pick
moving
it.
fast enough.
I never pick it back up again.
Yeah.
it just
Comic books was like,
That was perfect.
yeah, it was perfect because it was like a story. It was kind of quick.
and a lot of pictures.
A lot of pictures, but you know what I mean? It was visual. You know what I mean?
Oh, speaking of which, we're gonna do a comic book episode.
I know. I haven't really got to it yet, but I'm going to get to them. The ones you showed me.
Yeah. So Nick, I gave you your reading material.
You
your
have
homework.
Walking Dead. I have those books that John gave me.
Well, I just read, and we mentioned this in one of the episodes way back, and it's actually been out for a little while. But it was the Wolverine where he dies and goes to hell. I read through the series. It's a good series. I think it's interesting. They handle it very kind of. He basically goes toe to toe with the devil. You know?
Really?
Yeah, and so it's
done well.
I thought it was going to be a lot better than it was. it's kind of not good, and people love it. I mean, I heard rave reviews about it, but I was like, nah, not so much. But
when was that written?
I want to say 2014, maybe before that.
Okay.
But
probably mine.
one thing I would recommend highly is Court of Owls. It's Zack Snyder and Greg Capullo is the artist. It was the best shot in the arm. People are comparing Zack Snyder as up there as one of the best Batman writers of all time.
Really?
I mean, right up there with Frank Miller.
Court of
And
Owls is like the secret society for
it
behind
is
the whole Gotham.
so good, man.
Oh, okay. So they were like behind everything that was going on.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It was like they were like the Illuminati, quote unquote.
Yeah, and they're the 1-2 punch. Like those two as a team, his art, Greg Capullo's art, and Zack Snyder, his writing. He went to school for writing. He gets Gotham as a character. You know, he talks about it. He talks about how Batman has such a relationship with Gotham, and what if there was something about Gotham that he didn't know when he's supposed to know Gotham so well? That's
and
his town.
Yeah, his town. He's the richest guy in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, like his parents are like
They help
possibly involved, but not
Yes.
directly.
Did you read
involved.
it?
I know some of that story.
It's just
Yeah.
that sounds awesome though. And
It is
What is it? What does
fantastic.
also lead to partly why his parents got killed?
Well, they dance around
that's
it.
part. That
I would assume
for
so.
sure.
It's a possibility.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, but it's really and so much so that Scott Snyder, by developing the Court of Owls, turns out are a natural predator to bats.
Ooh,
Isn't that cool?
that's a little. I like
Yeah,
that.
hence why they hunt at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really well written. So, give it a go. If you're going to read any DC at all, start with Batman Court of Owls. It's
Batman
fantastic.
in
I mean,
general.
Batman. Frank Miller's run on Batman is the obvious choice, but that first, and then Court of Owls.
Batman in general. And then there was that's
They actually did a Jeff Johns, who is I think chief editor over at DC or head of their creative division. I can't remember what his role is. He's a comic book writer. He's a comic book guy. He did a good run on Green Lantern. And I know how you feel about Green
listen,
Lantern.
I just joke around. I mean, I actually
He's Wednesday's underwear for
well,
sure.
yeah, he's Wednesday's underwear, of course. He's not like the top guy, but I still read some of them. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like the whole like Green Lantern Society, like how there's like
Green Lantern Corps.
yeah, the green. I mean
That was my favorite part of that movie.
exactly. It was cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it was cool.
Now,
Yeah.
what's the difference between the Yellow Lantern and the Green Lantern?
Well, they're all based on emotion, right? So, Yellow Lantern, a Green Lantern is will, right? And the Yellow Lantern is fear. I think. I think it's fear. But they have Blue Lanterns, and they have a whole. That was what that Jeff Johns run on Green Lantern was. They get all these different lanterns that sort of come, and it sounds silly. It sounds really
Still
terrible,
That's where-
but they do a good job of it.
Yeah, that's good. But like, it's like the whole like the actual lantern thing, and then
Yeah.
the ring. It's just like, it's like
But you know what
They barely they use it. They call it a battery.
Yeah.
right. Because lantern
it
is
charges it. But yeah,
so weak.
it's
right?
no Batman's belt. I'll just
No,
put
it's
it
not
to
a
you.
utility belt
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's it for this week's edition. Excuse me, this week's episode.
You do that every week. I
Every
think.
week, I know. This week's episode of the Nick, John, and Jamie Show. You can find us on Twitter at NJJ Show, and also we're on Facebook and Instagram. Just search the Nick, John, and Jamie Show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and enjoy your week.